News Radio 700 WLW, Gary Jeff, the talk man on the nightcap. And this segment of Does This Smell Funny to You is brought to you by Ricky Glore. You didn't know you were sponsoring this yourself, did you?
I don't know what I'm contributing to this. I hope I'm giving something that's entertaining and
we'll find out.
Palpable.
We'll find out. Let me ask you something. You have a 9-to-5 job. We won't talk about where that is or what you do necessarily because you're into stand-up comedy. That would be your first love. But I played the Music Man cut because Ricky also writes musicals.
Yeah. While I was living in Chicago for the last 7 years, I was writing, producing, and directing original musicals that I hope to bring to the Cincinnati area, ones that we produce at Storefront Theater.
And not that it matters, but you're not gay, right?
No, I'm married to a woman. My brother's gay.
Oh, well, that's fine.
So, I mean, there might be influence there.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm also not a great musician, and I wrote these musicals.
How'd that work?
Good friends. Finding people who are better musicians than you are.
But you can chart music, obviously, and
a little bit.
Do you write the lyrics basically?
Lyrics and guitar a little bit. Sometimes I pick up the acoustic guitar. I say I'm about as good on guitar now as I was in 8th grade.
So you were phenomenal in 8th grade, is what you're telling me.
I could play a whole lot of Green Day and Blink-182 and try to play some Monkees, but...
Did it ever get you chicks?
No, I was not that guy at the party.
You were not the guy at the party with a guitar?
I wasn't the guy that could play a little Dave Matthews Band or John Mayer, and then, they came coming.
He's on over on the couch next to you, and all of a sudden you turn into Matt Lauer.
There was no crash into me.
No.
There was more Al Franken than there was Matt Lauer.
That's great. Great.
I'm sure there's some inappropriate photos of me around there somewhere.
So you don't write conventional musicals, though, Ricky?
No, the musicals that I write are influenced by the things I grew up loving. A lot of my stuff is influenced by films that my dad showed me, probably at too young of an age. Not stag films, but like horror films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
blood and guts stuff?
Oh, yeah, like Nightmare on Elm Street, all the Hammer, Christopher Lee, Dracula movies. The Universal Monsters, Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, some of the great,
the classics.
Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in 1972, and can you get a scarier movie than that? And that came out just a little over 10 years after Psycho.
Well, you know what? And it's funny you mentioned that. I just saw this come across the wire. Leatherface has now been accused of sexual harassment with a chainsaw.
They're like, look, the murder we can let slide. The inappropriate groping, I'm sorry, Leatherface. When you pick them up and drag them to hang them on a hook, please grab them around the waist, use your legs.
Very nice. Well, you always use your legs, not your back, because you can throw something out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The musical that you had, now you were originally from here and then moved to Chicago? Or
yeah, that's correct. I went to college, went to theater, studied theater at NKU. It's funny you said about not being gay. I originally went to NKU to become a secondary education English teacher. 2 years into it, I decided I wanted to switch my major to theater and do comedy, write plays. And my brother, who was already out of the closet, he's like, I'll help you tell mom and dad that you want to switch your major. So we had a Sunday dinner, and we sat down.
You came out with a second major, not with sexual orientation, with a second major. That's great.
And I'm my dad's only son. My brothers are my half-brothers. So I'm my dad's only lineage. I'm actually a junior, too, so there's a lot riding
on this.
And
have you procreated yet?
That's not yet. Not yet.
A third is probably necessary if you're going to make Dad proud there, Ricky.
I don't know if I'm egotistical enough to name my child the third, the triplet. But we had a Sunday dinner, as we did when I was in college, where we all got together. And Eric, my brother, was like, hey, Mom and Dad, sit down. Ricky has something he wants to tell you. And my dad threw up his hands and went, you're not gay too, are you? And my brother said, no, close. He wants to be a theater major. And then my dad said, well, whatever makes you happy, that's fine, as long as I wasn't gay. My mom, on the other hand, was crying hysterically.
Because you weren't gay?
Well, no, because she thought I would never have a job being a theater major.
Right. So you produced this play, this musical in Chicago, and then you moved back here. And tell me about this play that you may be bringing to Cincinnati. It's very interesting to me, considering your background of horror movies and the like. What's this play called?
It's called Babysitter Massacre 78, the musical. So that's like the year 1978.
So how do you write? I mean, I know Rocky Horror Picture and all that, but how do you write a musical to mock a blood and guts genre?
Oh, I think you do it in the most earnest fashion. I think you write a late 70s, early 80s, like Friday the 13th, Halloween type movie, and then you just heighten the areas that are already ridiculous.
Well, you were talking 78. Did you include any disco?
There is one disco song, and it's called Disco Till I Die.
Nice.
And disco ball and everything. The musical, I mean, I'm a big fan. I'm biased. But I would love to bring it to Cincinnati because I think there is a part of theater that might be missing a little bit here. And one of the only places that I know that's doing this kind of dark comedy, off the wall, not just for blue-haired old ladies like Oklahoma.
As at Chris Seelbach's parties after the election.
Yes. It's the people at the Clifton Players, the Clifton Theater, which they just got a new theater at Liberty Hall.
Okay.
Which has not been used as a theater, been open to the public for years. They just did a great, really dark, but really funny show called Drowning Girls, which was a true story about a guy who married a bunch of women at the turn of the century just to drown them and then get all their insurance money.
You know, if I had thought of that.
As a way to make money.
I might not have to be here tonight. More with Ricky Glore and your phone calls. By the way, the phones are open. Even though we got a guest, the phones are open. 513-749-7000, 1-800-843-2441. We're going to play a game, if you're interested, if you want to play along, called Ask the Comedian. And you can ask him anything about anything in the world, and we'll see what he has to say about it. So it could be anything, world affairs. I mean, David in Loveland wants to talk about Kim Jong-un. You might have something to comment. Maybe he'd like to ask you a question about the North Korean leader.
Oh, yeah, hopefully.
Before we wipe him out. We'll take a break for news, come back with more of Ricky Glore on Does This Smell Funny to You on the Nightcap on News Radio 700 WLW. Ricky Glore is our guest, and he wasn't lying when he said, I love the Monkees. So what the hell?